Hi Scorpio, welcome to your April 2020 Astrology 33 reading. Thanks to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for more details. As far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always. Then we have a couple of oracle cards we'll take a look at once we get through the main spread, and also a mudra card. So we'll get started. In the main situation position, we have the High Priestess. So for me, I actually view this as Pisces energy a lot of the time, but of course it's a pretty watery energy no matter how you want to look at it. But what I would say, this could be pointing to a couple of things. For one, you're going to be having that full moon in your 12th house of Libra in the month of April, so it could be pointing to that. Or this could just be saying that maybe right now you're not speaking very much right now. You could just be keeping your thoughts to yourself. Maybe definitely an emotional control, I feel, but maybe just not outwardly expressing what's going on in your mind right now. Just really trying to rely on your intuition and just in more of an observation mode than anything. In the challenge or obstacle position, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. So, interesting mixture of energies here. This is actually Virgo energy. This is Aries energy, and then this is Libra energy again. So, well, I've said again, but I just mean because we were talking about the Libra full moon. So, what I'm really seeing here is this actually could be, for some of you, maybe even something around a friendship. But whatever this type of connection is, I feel like this is a situation where you feel like you've put in the work, and now you're waiting for the other person to pick up the slack, right? So you might feel like it's an unbalanced connection. So, could be in your workplace for one. It could be in romantic connection or friendship, where that's what I'm seeing here. The High Priestess energy is you pulling back some. Now I'm feeling that that's what's going on. You're pulling back your energy, waiting to see the other person play their part in the situation. So that's what I could see happening there. And this could also be pointing to some significance around the full moon in Libra too, because this represents the middle 10 degrees of Aries, and then this being the court card for Libra, that full moon in Libra will actually take place while the sun is in those degrees of Aries. So definitely something could come to light around that full moon for you guys. And maybe, for example, that might be when the other person starts to put in the work, or maybe you just get a little more clarity around what's going on with that situation anyway. In the foundation position, we have the Moon and the Seven of Swords. So, interesting combination here too. Now, a lot of readers do look at the Moon and view it as an indicator of deception. I don't necessarily see that when it's in the upright. For me, I usually say that it's more of a situation where you pretty much have to take on that High Priestess energy, which is to say you need to rely on your intuition. Like the example I like to give with this card is if you're in an unfamiliar room and all of a sudden the power goes out, right? So if it were a room that you're comfortable with, you'd probably still be able to navigate around it fairly well, even if the lights went out, right? But if it's a room you're not too familiar with, you might be worried about bumping into things, knocking things over, so you might actually feel your way around a little more, right? You definitely step through the room a little bit more carefully. That's what I feel like when I see the moon, especially when it is in the upright, which is to say you might have to feel a situation out to really get to the bottom of things. And then with the Seven of Swords there, you would say that, okay, well, at the very least, a combination of these two could point to some kind of deception. But what I would say there, especially because it's this month that you'll be having that full moon in your 12th house, I would say that could also be saying that what could be at play here is you might think there's some deception going on when that's not actually the case. So I would say in that regard, definitely try to really hone in on your intuition and try not to just, write something off as, oh yeah, there's definitely deception at play. That may not be the case, okay? And I do have to say, that might sound like, well, that doesn't get me anywhere, right? But at the same time, I would say seeing this in combination with the High Priestess in the upright what I would say with that combination is you feel like, oh, well, that's not very definitive to say just trust your intuition. And I will say, with this being in the main situation, there's a pretty good chance that whatever you intuitively feel would be correct. So, but just give it a little time, I would say. All right, past position, we have the Six of Swords. So, this could just be saying that, again, I feel like this is you withdrawing in some way. Like I said, it might have been deliberate on your part, where maybe you just felt like you were putting in a lot more work in a situation than the other person was, and maybe your hope was that in doing that they would come to a realization that, oh, okay, maybe I need to pick up the slack or something like that, right? So that could be what's at play there. This could be around home and family too, since for you guys, Aquarius is your fourth house, and that's Aquarius energy there. And part of that Mercury retrograde, even though it was mostly in your fifth house, it did go into Aquarius, which is your fourth house. And maybe now that it's moved back into Pisces, maybe you're still getting some clarity around the situation there. All right, in the present position, we have the Three of Swords. So this is actually Libra energy, the middle 10 degrees of Libra. And again, that's another indicator for me that there's some significance around that full moon that's going to take place in Libra. So could be that what comes to light during that full moon might actually lead to some disappointment. Or again, this could just be tied to that same thing where, like I said, maybe for some of you, you might have withdrawn your energy in the past with the hopes that, okay, well, this other person will pick up the slack, and maybe you're just finding that they're not doing so. So that could be what the disappointment is regarding there. The only thing I would say is, there is, of course, the chance for some kind of confrontation, possibly, because we do see the tower at the bottom of the deck, too. And also, now I'm looking at the card beneath that, also we have the Five of Pentacles. So I will say this too. This makes me think of an astrological aspect that's going to be taking place in April. So you guys are probably well aware of, at this point, that you have Uranus in your opposite sign. And it's actually, this is a card that represents the first 10 degrees of Taurus. And that's where Uranus is right now. And Mars will be moving through Aquarius in April. And right around the second week, the start of the second week, it's going to make a square to Uranus in your opposite sign. So there is definitely some potential for an argument to possibly get out of hand there. So just keep that in mind. And, maybe that could cause that Three of Swords moment where, maybe you confront someone on something, maybe during that full moon, and maybe it ends up not being, what you thought it was. So just be mindful of that. There could just be some tense energy at play. Pretty much, I would say, to be safe, the first 2 weeks of April, there could be some tension in the air. So just something to keep an eye out for. In the near future position, we have the Three of Cups, the Judgment card, the Fool, and the Two of Wands. So, I have to say, seeing these cards come up in the near future almost to me says that even if there is some kind of a confrontation with that Tower and Five of Pentacles that leads to someone pretty much, leaving the situation for a while, it does look like there's definitely potential for it to get repaired rather quickly. The reason I say that is because the Three of Cups is usually a celebratory energy. Anyway, that's how I view it. It's a Cancer energy, so I view it as those long-standing connections. So this could definitely, again, be another indicator that this could be around a friendship for some of you. You know, so I view this as more like long-standing connections rather than something brand new. Judgment, of course, is almost self-explanatory, which is to say that a situation comes back around again, right, to be looked at and improved. The Fool represents taking that chance, that leap of faith. And then the Two of Wands would actually represent that new start, right? And this actually represents the first 10 degrees of Aries, too. So there's going to be plenty of energy going through that sign as well. But that's what I'm seeing there. It looks like you might get this connection back on track. Trying to see if anything else comes to mind with these cards. It's definitely an interesting combination, but that's really what I'm seeing there for most of you. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm getting on that right now. All right, so in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Six of Pentacles. So to me, this looks like this actually is you who now, again, like I said, in the beginning, at the very least, I was picking up on a situation where you might have been withdrawing, feeling like you were already putting in more than your fair share of work and wanting the other person to pick up the slack. So this could just be a continuation of that energy in that regard, which is to say that, you still feel like you've played your part, did your part, and now you're waiting for them to reciprocate. But for others of you, this can just represent you wanting to restore balance. So, I feel like a lot of people are on edge right now anyway with all the uncertainty going on in the world. So it could just be one of those things where maybe you guys have a blow up, not to say that any one party's more responsible than the other, but it could just be, again, the energies at play. Maybe you guys get into some kind of an argument, right? And then maybe almost immediately afterwards, maybe start to feel really bad about it, or possibly even because there's so much, so many things going on in the world. If this was a bit of a Cold War situation with you and another person where you haven't spoken to each other for a while, maybe that actually, you know, inclines you to put the connection back on track, which is say, okay, there's bigger things in the world than, whatever this argument may have been about, right? So that could be what's at play there. In the hopes, or not the hopes, fears, excuse me, in the environment position, we have the Eight of Swords. So this could say, on the one hand, that this is you, right? Possibly not seeing things clearly in a way with, again, that 12th house full moon energy. Or this could just be saying that this is the person you're dealing with. And again, that would definitely align with what we were saying there, where you might feel like you've been putting in a lot of work in a connection and the other person isn't, right? It definitely looks like this is the energy of someone who's, not really moving forward. They're not taking action. Um, So this could just be, and maybe you might come to a realization about that, right? Where maybe for a while you were taking it personal that this person wasn't putting in more energy toward the connection, but maybe around that full moon, maybe what comes to light is you come to a realization that maybe this person just has, some other things going on right now, and it wasn't meant to be a personal slight to you. It's just that they're caught up in their head about some things they're going through. So that could be how it's playing out for some of you at the very least. Um, but I do have to say, if we look at these two cards in combination, that I feel like for most of you, it would actually be you who might be doing the reaching out. Um, and this is not a confrontational card at all, I will say, you know what I mean? So it's like they might not be moving toward you, but at the same time, if you were to move toward them, I don't think it's going to turn into anything negative. It could just be, again, that they just have a lot on their mind right now. All right, hopes or fears position, we have the Three of Pentacles and the King of Wands. So, interesting energies here. This is Leo energy, which for you guys is your 10th house of career and social status. And then Three of Pentacles is actually Capricorn energy, so which is your third house, communication. So if we look at those two together, this could actually just be saying that, maybe you're hoping to hear some communication. So this could just be as simple as this could be in the workplace. Maybe you've been putting in a lot of work in the workplace with hopes that you would get recognition for it, right? Compensation for it. Maybe it hasn't been happening. So maybe you start to put in a little less work at your job, right? Like, okay, well, clearly it's not getting appreciated, right? I'm not getting, um, you know, reciprocated energy from them in the situation. So I'm just going to pull back, right? And then this could just be saying that, as far as that goes, this could also represent a boss too, where you're wanting them to actually put in the effort toward you, show you that it's really is that your work is appreciated. You know what I mean? This could also represent a person you're dealing with too. So, for example, maybe the person that you're in this gridlock situation with could be a Leo, possibly, or any fire sign. But yeah, that's why the main theme I'm getting is regardless of what type of connection this is, it feels like you feel like you've been putting in a lot of work and the other party hasn't been, basically. In the outcome position, we have the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Wands. So this is actually more Leo energy here. So there definitely could be a Leo involved. Or again, like I said, this could be career, social status stuff. But Ace of Swords, maybe this could be a realization coming for you where, whatever situation you may not have been seeing clearly, like I said, maybe after that full moon happens and the dust settles, maybe you do come to realization about something. And then this could even represent you, defending yourself if someone has accused you of something or vice versa. But whoever is on the defensive here, I actually see them, actually succeeding at being that way. Just because of the energy that comes across with me with this card is that, looks like he definitely seems like he's in a confrontation. And we see the six wands there to his one, but at the same time, it looks like he's clearly on a higher ground, right? So to me, it's like they have that advantage in that regard. So, like I said, it could just be as simple as maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe you have a blow up with someone. Maybe maybe if they withdrew and they were dealing with their own thing, you might have taken it personally for some reason. And then maybe you find out that they had some other stuff going on. It could just be as simple as that. Regardless, I mean, with the tower, that is a pretty harsh energy to have at the bottom of the deck. But especially given what comes up in that near future, I do see that there will be something that seems to happen, but it doesn't. I do get the vibe that it's going to be short lived, though, given, all this energy in the near future. So, maybe in a way it'll be unavoidable. Maybe it's just something that needs to happen overall, but um, looks like you guys can move forward rather quickly. And you know what, to be fair, maybe that's what this could be pointing to as well, which is to say maybe whatever it is, you're ready to move forward, and the other person just might not be as quick to do so. You know what I mean? Because with that Six of Pentacles, that could be saying that you're ready to restore the balance and get things moving, whereas this person might just still be stuck in their head about the situation. So I don't necessarily see it lasting too long, but that could be what that's pointing to. All right. So the first oracle card we have is Between Worlds. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 3. Okay, it says transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, no man's land. So temporary blindness definitely makes me think about what I was saying there with the 12 house full moon, where you might not be seeing things quite clearly. But again, the key word is temporary, right? And I also did say that whatever does seem to take place, it seems to be somewhat short lived. So already we see some alignment there. But the oracle's message says between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place between what was and what will be is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so and you will not be disappointed. So definitely an interesting message there as well. Hopefully that resonated with you. And then the relationship message says this is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if this will last forever, so allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back to you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. So definitely an interesting message there too. I did like that sentence that says you are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. So it could just be as simple as that, where maybe the two of you, for whatever reason, might just be moving at two different speeds right now. To where, like I said, you might have felt like, oh, I put in all this work, this person isn't, right? Maybe this could just be saying that they're just a little slower to move in general in that area. So that could be what's at play there too. Okay, the prosperity message says, in your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble. Win or lose, you can learn much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. So, definitely a pretty good message there, and hopefully that resonated with you as well. And let's see, the next card we have is Swan Spirit. It says time for a deep dive. There we go. There's the artwork, and the number is 60. I mean, just on the surface, that makes me think of the High Priestess and Moon energy, but we'll see what it says. It says, with their graceful, long necks, swans are able to reach into the depths. When Swan Spirit arrives, you are called to take a deep dive beyond what is easily available on the surface. You may think you know what is best for you now, but take the plunge into the depths of your awareness, for there is knowledge you are not aware of and great treasures to discover. Deeper understanding awaits you, and a perspective that comes from greater self-knowledge is what you need right now to better understand the situation or relationship. As you come to know yourself more intimately, so too will you come to know others. So Swan Spirit asks you to go beyond the surface of what is happening between you and others and resist the temptation to judge by superficial appearances. No, there is much deeper potential for loving connections, forgiveness, and mutual understanding. Choose to dive deep into your why. Asking the deeper questions of yourself, you are led by the grace of Swan Spirit. So, definitely interesting messages there as well. Again, saying, go beyond the surface, right? And resist the temptation to judge by superficial appearances. So, again, all of this High Priestess energy, Moon energy, could just be telling you to not trust what you see on the surface, but instead to rely on your intuition, right? And to really do a bit of a deeper dive. So, maybe what looks one way on the surface might be totally different. So I would say if you do that, that could help, with that tower energy as well. All right, so the last thing we have is a mudra card, and the mudra for your sign this month is the Mahashirsha mudra. There it is there. Keyword for it is relief. Okay, let's see if we can get it to focus. It's not cooperating. Let me see. Alrighty then. Yeah, guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. There's a Mercury retrograde ending, but still being in shadow for you right there. Well, anyway, I'll just read to you what it says for benefits. It says relieves headaches, reduces tension in the eyes, breaks up congestion in the frontal sinuses, and improves mental clarity. So at the very least, sounds like something that could be beneficial for you guys when we get allergy season kicking in for some of you. But if that sounds like something that you find useful, I will put the name of the mudra in the description of the video so you can look into it a little bit more. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right.